Hello, my name is Harriton Buatco. Our topic, yes, it's Congressman Sherwin Gatchalian. Why did I choose to even make this a topic? Simple, he's our guest. Why even him being our guest? And what are the big deal? What's the big deal about this? Every once in a while, we will come up with a person who actually does or follows the voice of the people, like I said in the first, when we started the show. If you don't trust me, Google it. It's Sherwin Gatchalian. This is what I did, and I couldn't believe the little things I've been reading. And it seems it really is not very difficult to actually follow what the real issues are and what the voice of the people is, if you really want to listen. I guess the underlying tone there is the president listening? You already know my points. They're being biased the way I am. But let's lead me out of it. Let's go back to our guest, Congressman Sherwin Gatchalian. You were saying about the people's, okay, you've got the rental issue. Ang galing, you created a business model. Just following through on this.
Okay.
We have government land. I realize land is expensive. Pero marami naman tayong lupain galing sa gobyerno. I'm sure I know Quezon City marami.
Right.
But I'm not sure if we have, do we have government land that is open, not used, not arable at this point at least, walang production?
The problem, Harry, with Metro Manila, it's very expensive. No? The average price of land in Metro Manila is very expensive. That's why you cannot do the common single detached housing.
But if you don't have to buy the land,
I think
assuming you don't have to buy that, you use government.
Typically in Metro Manila, because land is so valuable, it's used to create more value. No? I'll give you a case in point. No? Yung sa Trinoma area, no? That
value yun noon, no?
Oh, that
20 years lang.
That's why maraming informal settlers who settled there. But now, because the price of land there is close to what, 50, 60,000 per square.
More.
So that's why Ayala, it makes more sense, no, for property developers like Ayala to create value out of that property. You know? And that's why it's a struggle, no, for informal settlers to look for.
But wala ba sa Valenzuela, for example? Meron din naman government land dyan, I'm sure.
Actually, our housing project, we expropriated the land. No? We look for idle land. And if you don't use
That's
the
even
land,
better. Look for idle land, not arable, walang production, walang
right.
And come in.
And then we expropriated it. But that is...
Pero may kamahalan pa rin expropriation.
May kamahalan, Harry, tsaka it's becoming rare, no? Because of...
Okay.
If you go to Valenzuela, dami na naming bahay, dami ng factories.
May density.
So you have to go out, no? It's either what they call near city, which is in the fringes of Metro Manila, or yung off city or out city yata ang tawag nila, which is far off, no? That's where the problem comes in, because the farther you go, the lesser jobs you can get, no? So, and with the state of our public transport here, no, mahirap kasi pumasok and it's very expensive to commute every day. The informal settlers being relocated outside of the city tend to just sell and then come back in the metro and squat na lang. Ano?
Which is what we see.
Ngayon nangyayari yan.
Representing Valenzuela, alam ko dyan puro pabrika yan. It's very productive when it comes to all of that. What do you want to do for Valenzuela? Because you just got out of the mayor's seat.
Right.
So you have a fresh, may hands-on experience ka. Anong kailangan ng syudad? Anong issue nakikita mo? Kuryente? Para sa mga pabrika?
Ang vision namin, no, for Valenzuela is to enter into a more value-added high-tech industry. No? Of course, the traditional manufacturing base gives us a lot of revenue.
Oh, right now, it grew under your term.
Right. But
from 800 to 2+ billion na
alam mo, Harry, meron kaming very competitive in Metro Manila. No? We're competing with Makati, Taguig.
Malaki nga.
So we want to take some of the high-tech industries and bring it to Valenzuela, no? Such as call centers, BPOs. We cannot be left behind. And that's our dream, no? To move from a manufacturing base to a high-tech value-added industry.
But hindi kayo magbabanggaan yan? I mean, you already have the edge on manufacturing.
Meron naman, but I think itong mga value-added will give us more revenue. And right now, we have to look at what is giving more jobs to our constituents. A lot of the younger generation now, they enter the BPO industries.
Oh, yan ang future talaga.
Yan ang future. So, ang vision namin, hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years is to come up with their first BPO. Ano. But to go through that, itong mga BPO industry demands a lot of people no?
And, well, the infra is required. Talaga yung internet, no?
The internet.
Mabigat
But I
dapat.
think when I ask the BPO players, ang gusto nila ang pinaka-importante is you have a steady supply of employees. No?
You would have the big state universities around your area. Bulacan being one source,
Yes,
right
yes.
there.
Yes, marami, no? And we're now working very, very hard in strengthening our education system because people are there, no? Walang problema yung tao.
May tao na
Ang
kayo.
importante, may
population.
alam ba yung tao, no?
Yeah, yun. Isa pa yun.
So we're now strengthening meron kaming local university, meron kaming local polytechnic university. We just launched our first Valenzuela Math and Science School, no? It's the most modern in the whole Philippines.
Really,
So, yeah. We invested close to 350 million, no, to put that school, and we tied up with Ateneo in terms of putting the curriculum together, no? And all of this is meant to develop, to strengthen our human side of our vision, no? The human development side of our vision. So, with a strong curriculum, no, and with our strong human development programs, we're confident that we can move from a manufacturing base to a value-added high-tech industry.
But not necessarily just to generate an income for the city. It's your purpose in all of this is to generate careers, opportunities, and jobs.
Yes,
Am I right?
employment. No?
Yun lang naman ang, yun
Yes.
talaga habol mo dun,
Yes,
di ba?
yes,
Not
definitely.
necessarily yung high income, pero more employment.
Kasi, Harry, if you do simple computation lang, no? If, entry level of our laborer, no? Minimum wage siya, no? 400 plus per day, no? If you talk to BPO,
Mas malaki.
malaki, no? And
Times
entry
3
level
or
is
times
almost 30,000 na.
Ah.
So, just imagine if they work there, they receive the same entry level salary, the local economy will benefit from that, you know?
But you already have the volume. What is your rate of do you have a survey based on unemployment in your area alone?
It's the labor force survey is not done in a
O nga, it's nationwide.
nationwide siya, 55,000 nationwide siya,
But
no?
being the mayor, may alam yan.
Yes.
Yung local mayor. Kasi lahat pupunta sa mayor.
Meron kaming informal survey And ang informal survey namin is a little bit lower than the national. It's about 6% to 5%.
I would imagine kasi yung
National is
fabrika
about
nga
7.
nandiyan dyan eh.
Ang national is about 7.5. Sa amin it's about 5.5 to 6. No? 5.5 to 6.
Yeah, because
more or less, nasa ganyan.
That's it's a pro and it's also an anti. But because of the manufacturing, mababa ang unemployment. How about the issue with the ports? Kasi puro public ka dyan.
May problema talaga. Problema talaga.
Your brother is now the mayor.
Yes.
How is he handling it, and you being the representative in aid of legislation?
Yes.
Because it seems even the Senate is looking into the ports.
You're right.
But so far or to date, there is no resolution, there is no nothing, there is no direction. It's all promises. This government keeps saying, pag-aralan po natin yan, pag-aralan. When does the studying stop and the action begin? Di ba parang gano'n nangyayari?
Sabi nga ng iba, analysis paralysis.
Oh, analysis paralysis.
I've heard that many times.
No, but you have that edge. Being Valenzuela, tas Malabon, pwede na dumaan sa R12 eh, di ba? May
yes,
access
R10,
na kayo eh.
R10, yes, tama.
Maluang na yun eh. But
Tama.
the problem is not even the infrastructure back and forth. Valenzuela, you've had to make do with narrower roads. But I've seen a lot of my clients, for example, that go in there with 40-footers. And they're successful. That's not a problem there.
Right.
Tsaka your traffic is under control. In spite of that main bridge that broke out one time, you put it very quickly into control.
Right.
But the problem, what do you do when a national problem comes into place? Like the ports. How do you handle? As a representative,
Yes.
it goes into your lap,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Headache mo pa rin yan eh.
Definitely, Harry, no? Because I talk to our business sector a lot, and it's hurting them, no? Especially those ones who import the raw materials.
Yan, raw mats.
Just imagine, before the port system, 24/7 yan eh. When the ship comes, pipick upin ng goods, dadalhin, and you produce the goods in Valenzuela. Ngayon, you have to wait at night. So in the meantime, walang ginagawa yung factory mo during the day, no?
Marami nagre-reklamo.
Marami nagre-reklamo. And ang fear ko kasi, no, because we rely so much on the industries, unemployment will
Rise.
get hit. No? So that's why we're very active in looking for a solution. But tama ka, no? There's no sustainable solution.
So far, no, nothing's proposed.
The only sustainable solution I can see is really invest in infrastructure, no? Because our ports have been left behind many, many years now. And in some cities, they have special port lanes. They have special lanes for cargoes. It doesn't mix with the normal vehicular traffic. But tama ka, sa R10 alone, I don't know if you've been there, but
Yeah.
grabe,
It's a mess.
I mean, it's really mess.
But in spite of that mess, in spite of that chaos, which I've been part of that traffic mess there is still order in that chaos. The problem is pagpasok ng port, that's when everything stops. Until now, we seem to have an OIC si Sevilla.
Yes.
We have not even assigned a replacement for Rufy Biason.
Right.
No one is really in charge. You've got the senators, as you well know, na gusto na imbestigahan. But in aid of legislation, nothing has come out. Now they said, we're relocating 75,000 empty containers. How did 75 empty containers even begin to get parked there?
Right.
Di ba na walang how did
right.
that even begin? How did
Right.
that happen? Is there a solution to that? Or you're going to be forced to look for a solution?
Actually, Harry, our port operations not even the biggest in Southeast Asia. There are so many
We're
big
a
ports.
sub-port lang naman compared to Sing.
Singapore,
Hong
Hong Kong. These are massive ports. But they manage to manage it very well. I think it's in the management and also infrastructure. No?
Well, it's not very big. That's one thing. South Harbor.
Ako, I pass through R10 virtually every week. No? If I really need to pass that road, because from the north to Manila City, that's the fastest. You know? And I know that road very well. And for many, many years, it's been neglected. No? It's a very important and very...
It's actually scenic, sayang.
Maganda siya
Kasi ang tubig andun doon sa kaliwa mo
Maganda
o sa
siya
kanan.
if you expand that and manage it
Which
very
can
well.
be.
It's a good access way to the north, but hindi siya nagagalaw. Ano? Kaya you need to invest. No? If you want to alleviate traffic as well as improve the flow of goods in the port, you have to invest in infrastructure. That's the only thing I can see.
But the port management by itself, you don't want to get into politics, obviously, of who's managing it and whatnot. National government din yan eh. Kasi look at Mayor Era.
PPA,
Kiniinis yan eh. And of course, Vice Mayor Isko, nemesis niya yan.
Right,
Talagang
right.
titirahin niya yung port. Wala, hindi mo sila kumikita eh.
Right,
Tama
right,
nga
right,
naman,
right.
nakakadumi lang kayo, nakakagulo lang kayo sa syudad namin eh.
Right.
And then, they can't even, there's no participation, there's no nothing. It does nothing for the city of Manila.
Right.
I see that point, but it seems national government is keeping quiet. Pero kayong tinatamaan.
Right. That's why,
I mean, among all in Metro Manila, kayong tinatamaan
actually,
now.
if there is some good that came out in this hula-baloo, it's really, now we can see how important the flow of goods to our economy. No? It can actually hit on inflation.
Yeah.
It can actually hit on unemployment. And that's why we really need to be serious in our port operations and put the necessary infrastructure in place. Because if we don't do that, no, and if we have just band-aid solutions, no, mahirapan tayo to have a long-term program for, especially for manufacturing.
May ipit.
May ipit, no?
Tataas lahat ng...
Kaya kanina, we were talking about manufacturing. How can you support manufacturing if the basics are not there? No? Port operation is messy. The flow of goods is not on time. No? Diba the Japanese nga invented in JIT yung just-in-time processing. How can you have just-in-time processing when you cannot get your supply on time?
Ipit lahat eh.
Yes.
Ipit lahat. Congressman, we're going to have to take a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. When we come back, I'm going to try and delve into some current political issues that are ongoing. The congressman doesn't necessarily want to delve in it for not fear, but he feels there's enough or many of the politicians around who already talk more than that is required. And it seems all this talk goes nowhere. Alam niyo po, totoo po yan. Totoo po yan. You can talk politics all you want until you turn blue in your mouth, in your face, but no big deal. There is still no action. But if there's inaction in politics, it can be problematic as well. Let's see how this goes. Stay with us when we come back. I'm going to try and push in a bit of politics. We'll be right back.